Angelo Leonardi appreciates the value of a hard day's work.
One of my favourite things to do is just pruning. Taking pruning shears, take a pole, chainsaw and just go on for the day where I don't have my phone, no one can call me, and I find that really soothing. So it can be really therapeutic to work on a farm, you know, to just get given a simple task and just repeat that task.
Luckily, repetition is something Angelo has also had plenty of practice at. There is perhaps no more routine-driven workforce than where he began his working life, in the military.
I joined in 2006. Being a second-generation Australian, it was something that I wanted to do for family reasons, as well as at the time there was a need.
Angelo was 19 years old for his first deployment, serving in the infantry as part of the 6th Battalion out of Brisbane. He'd go on to do 2 more overseas tours.
I had an awesome career. I was very fortunate to serve in East Timor and in Iraq and in Afghanistan and serve some awesome guys. So I was only in for about 5 years, but it was intense for a short period and became a really key chapter of my life, which was character building, but it was just a chapter.
After leaving the Army in 2011, Angelo faced something many ex-service personnel grapple with.
When you leave the Army, you have to leave your image at the same time and develop a new image. Some of us joined when we were really young, so you can be a young adult, you know, 25 to 30 years old, and lose that image that you did build and have to reintroduce yourself to the world, which can be really hard.
Hard, but not impossible, and made much easier when you find something else you're passionate about. For Angelo, who grew up on the land, that was always going to be farming.
And it was kind of a natural progression for me to get back into farming, and I wanted to bring my Army friends with me, and we've done pretty well so far, staying together.
Cherry Creek Estate is near Blackbutt in Queensland's South Burnett. The main game here is avocados. There are about 300 hectares of managed orchards. Alongside Angelo is his older brother Salvatore, who spent 20 years working in the mining industry, and another ex-army mate, Cody Dennis. They joined forces 5 years ago, pooling their cash to buy their first farm.
Angelo's a visionary. He's big picture this, big picture that. I am the little picture guy. I'm the details, pragmatic, more realistic of what's happening here right now at this very moment. Sammy, he's the workhorse. He's the workhorse. Doesn't matter if it's big picture, little picture, he just gets it done.
The first year, and their first farm, it was just the 3 boys and about 2,000 trees.
We harvested 72 tonnes and we just did it ourselves in between work and other jobs.
Fast forward to now, and they've acquired 6 farms. The 3 men have around an 80% share, with the remaining 20% split across a group of other veterans. From 72 tonnes of avocados in that first season, this year they're on track to harvest around 1,000 tonnes. To say it's been a steep learning curve is putting it mildly.
Curve is a strong word. I would say vertical ascent it's been.
Not to mention a huge change from the Army. Cody Dennis, like many other former military personnel, found himself at a loss after leaving.
Getting straight out of a combat corps, I couldn't think of what I wanted to do or didn't realise the skill sets I had. Couldn't even get a job as a security guard at a shopping centre.
Now, Cody oversees the packing shed. It's a big, busy job. At the peak of their season, he manages up to 20 staff.
We would have had around a semi-truck a day leaving full of packed fruit. Approximately 80 to 90 bins of avocados were picked per day. So yeah, it was quite busy.
The thing about scaling up, though, is that any problems you have also get bigger. Here, they quickly worked out their main problem was waste. With no viable market for second or lower grade fruit, tons of perfectly fine avos had been getting tossed.
It gets dumped, like you've seen in the newspapers before, it just gets dumped on the ground. We wanted to do something with it.
Most countries in the world have found a second use for their second grade fruit, and we think for us in our region the most suitable is the avocado oil. It's particularly because of the quality of it.
So this year, for the first time, Cherry Creek Estate has been processing 100% Australian avocado oil, and in doing so, saving huge amounts of fruit from landfill and providing another market for lower grade avos.
It's not as if we invented it. It's been done here in Australia before, but I just don't think the climate was right, like the environment. It wasn't a glut market. The price of premium trays is so low compared to other years. It's just a viable option now.
So in terms of something like this, if I were to look at this avo, it doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
Explain to me what's wrong with it, basically.
Okay, so this one here, if you just feel it.
Give it the squish test?
Yeah, squish test. So it's too squishy for us
The thing you're not supposed to do in the supermarket?
Yeah, so this, once it goes through the packing line, turns to this. So
right, okay, so this is something that's been spat out, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, so part of our protocols, it's got to be hard green fruit to send to the consumer. So for this, coming through our packing line, it doesn't make the grade for our premiums, but this is perfect for oil.
How valuable is that to have another avenue for that fruit?
Extremely valuable for us, yeah. As we've only been in the farming game a short amount of time, finding a value add to us that can help that bottom line dollar is crucial, yeah.
They're hoping to produce 250,000 litres of oil during the 2024 growing period. It's already hit the shelves in some independent grocery stores in Australia, and a recent trade trip to Hong Kong saw them secure an export deal into parts of Asia. They've also been buying lower grade fruit from other local farmers who can deliver direct to the oil plant.
It gives them a second option. If we can help a little farmer get over the line for his next year, I'm more than happy to do that.
So Leo, one thing I want to know is what happens if the price for avocado goes way up high again?
Yeah, so
Still makes sense to make oil.
it does. So all things are cycles, right? So we know that avocado prices are going to come back up sooner or later, and we've had to grow big enough so that the amount of trees that we have provides enough base supply of oil that anywhere where we go, whether it be wholesalers or export, we can provide them a base load of avocado oil so we can stay on the shelf irregardless of where we are, so just with the fruit from our trees.
When they're not in the orchard or the oil plant, there's still plenty more to keep these guys occupied. They grow ginger here as well.
We've got 33 grow tunnels here that we've built where we grow jumbo Canton ginger in coir.
I can't use my fingers to scale.
They chose ginger as a counter-cyclical crop to their avocados in an effort to spread their risk.
We kind of have this core value that you should always be harvesting something to keep your cash flow positive.
Even so, it's a big gamble. They've invested a lot to set this infrastructure up. The grow bags the ginger is planted in are costly, and the process is very labour intensive. But unlike many other farms that struggle when it comes to sourcing extra labour, here they have troops to task.
One of our benefits is in that time period where we need people really quickly, we can send the SOS out to all the guys and they come running just like when we were in the army. So it's awesome to have their support in those critical times.
So we could rely on our mates a bit more than what we should, but it's good for everyone. Everyone likes to come out to the farm. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and it helps most people with their mental state as well. That way they can relax a little bit, but still put in a decent amount of work.
They work really hard, but they have lots of fun while they're doing it. And it's evident that some of the more practical aspects of their time in the army have definitely been put into place here on the farm.
Farmers have a lot of those similarities that army people have. You know, they can be very OCD with how they like things set out, just like we are. You know, a neat farm is a clean farm, a neat rifle is a good rifle, things like that. There is crossovers.
frameworks and systems is what the Army really got us to hone in on. And I think, we surged up to 65 people here. So just managing 65 people, if you don't come from some form of background with those management skills, it'll fall apart real quick.
It's been more than a decade since Angelo left the Army, but the imprint it left on him is still very clear. He says that's the case for most people who have served, which is why keeping those connections is so valuable.
Time is irrelevant, Some guys we might not see for months, other guys we might not see for years, some guys we see every week, and it's just like it was when we were serving.
In the Army, there's a big emphasis on mateship, and that's clearly important here too. And the benefits of that extend beyond just extra hands on deck. They're taking some pretty big risks here, but they're all in it together.
It's better to work together than work on your own. The opportunities only come to people that obviously work very hard for them. We have so many fallbacks now with all the different crops going through the oil, with the pack sheds. I don't stress as much as I used to now that the oil's up and running, but we've got to make that bit more successful yet.
There are plans for much more to come here. Other innovations in the oil plant, with the ginger, and their goal is to have 60,000 avocado trees in the ground before 2030.
I think we've all got pretty healthy appetites for risk. Yeah. Look, it's calculated risk. Yeah, it's risk first reward. We can never, we've given it a good crack. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
For Angelo Leonardi, it's also about showing there is life to be lived after the military. And as well as striving towards an end goal, how you get there is just as important.
You don't have to put the uniform on to still display the values. Mateship, camaraderie, teamwork, all these types of things is something that can still be a part of what you do every day.
For Salvatore Leonardi, the resident civilian, it's about building something worth passing on to the next generation.
I'd like to be able to hand this over to my kids so they don't have to work so hard to be able to have something of their own. It's a famous Australian dream. Everyone wants that white picket fence. This one's just got a bigger fence.